Ladies and gentlemen, this is C Double, and tonight on Cinco, it is all wrestling talk nation, and we have an exclusive Indy Superstars spotlight. And I said superstars is in plural because I got two superstars with us tonight. Um, they are They're going to be wrestling May 9th. Not against the Dream Team, but we'll get more into that later on. But it is my guest is Mr. Johnny Roxx and Tiffany Rokk. So y'all, how y'all doing? How's everything going tonight?
Oh, we're great, man. It was a pleasure to be on for you.
All right. Doing wonderful, thanks.
Awesome. Well, like I said, both of them are here today via the phone. So we're going to be going through, asking questions like we normally do real quick. Tomorrow on the 6th, we have A.C. Riley. Not when I say his name, Alex Riley, people thought I was getting an NXT guy, but no, it's Alex C. Riley. But he'll be on the show at 8 o'clock tomorrow. He also hosts a podcast. So he's a wrestler and also does what I do. So we'll be flipping the tables on the show for him. Then on our show. So definitely want to check it out. Definitely want to be a part of it. 8 o'clock, all the shows are always at that time. Love to have more people. And please understand, if you want to you're watching the show, you want to contact on us on Twitter. It's at AWTCD2. So that's my Twitter handle. You like to tweet us, like to come in down and ask questions. Indy Superstar Spotlight, that's where you can find us. Like the title, you guys are actually going to have a show on the 9th. And we'll have one question that we like to ask around here is, what got you into the indie scene? What drove you to want to wrestle?
I guess for me, I've been a lifelong fan. My mom was big into it. She obviously brought me up in it, and as on a fan standpoint. But I mean, it started real young with me, and of course, by the looks of my character and my persona, you can obviously see I'm a big Sting fan. I was brought up with Ric Flair, those type of guys, and it was just everything from the physical aspect to the theatrical side that just really it took my attention, and it's something that has held my attention for now 34 years. So it just boiled over. I knew it's what I wanted to do at a young age. And thus far, it's been great to me.
Awesome. And Tiffany?
Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of the fence. I didn't grow up watching wrestling. My mom had went to wrestle whenever she was younger, but she grew to not like it. So in my household, we didn't really. My senior year in high school, I had a friend that wanted me to come and watch him wrestle. I was like, they was only a week. So I went down to a show in Dalton, Georgia called TWA, where me and Johnny both actually started. And I watched a couple of shows, and my boyfriend at the time started training. And it wasn't until he started training that I went and sat through his training sessions that I began to respect the business. And that's really what got me into it. And then as I picked up, I wanted to learn more, and I just didn't stop.
All right. Well, now that is great. I like hearing stories of this. Now, this is where I like to ask the next question. What was the biggest, for both of y'all, what were the biggest challenges going into wrestling? Was it physically? Was it, talk about, it could be physical, it could be going through, learning, trying to find who find that your persona was. Maybe the moves, maybe just getting over the stage fright for some guys and some women. What were your biggest challenges for y'all?
I guess for me, it was finding that perfect persona that set me apart from everybody else, because there was a lot of guys in this area, and at the time wanted to do like a vampire style goth gimmick. It kind of almost reminded you of Gangrel from WWE years ago. But everybody wanted that serious, dark, evil style gimmick, and I kind of fell into the same path. I started doing the face paint, and I used to do sort of something like a bite off a kiss, I painted my whole face white, black design around the eyes. Tried to give myself a more menacing look. Had the long hair, wore all black. Actually started out with no wrestling gear whatsoever. I wore jeans and a t-shirt, and it was horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. And you know, me being pretty artistic for most of my life, I kind of started taking a look at what I really wanted to do as far as my character, and that's when I got the code type thing. But it was a challenge to try and find something that set me apart from everybody else, because I didn't want to be just that guy who went out, who could do this move, who could do that move, and could walk back through that curtain and everybody say, "Oh, you had a great match." I would, from bell to bell, make the people say, "Wow, this guy's got something." You know, it set me apart from everybody, and that was my biggest challenge. I mean, the moves, you know, play into the crowd, all of that came natural to me. But I wanted to be somebody different than what everybody else in the locker room was.
All right. Now, what about you, Miss Tiffany?
Me, I'm my own worst enemy. From the beginning, I've always doubted myself. I trained for a couple of years before I actually started. It took my husband and another guy by the name to really push me out into the ring to have my first match. And ever since then, I've scrutinized every little thing that I do in the ring, to the point where it really makes my husband mad, because he's like, "It was great," and I'm like, "It was awful." So I'm my own worst enemy, but I strive best that I could be. I don't want to be just another women's wrestler. I want to be the best wrestler. I don't want to be just another woman inside of the ring. So I've really been hard on myself over the past few years.
All right. Here's a question I want to ask, because both of y'all, you know, are married, and am I correct? You're both married, correct?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. I just want to make sure I have my facts together. My question is this: how has it helped your relationship? Because I know some wrestlers, when they're in a relationship, it's real hard on them sometimes. How has it helped for you guys to be together? You know, being able to be your own critiques and stuff, bounce ideas. How does that help you guys?
Well, it really takes a unique partnership to be in a serious relationship inside of wrestling, because there's always going to be that temptation there as the opposite sex, not only, you know, as a fan base trying to get with you, but also the guys in the locker room. So you really have to have a good, sturdy foundation to stand on, and, you know, just being open and upfront with each other. You know, make sure that you can trust one another. If you let any doubt at all in your relationship, then it's going to fall faster than a stack of cards. So you have to really have a strong foundation. And jealousy is not something that me and Johnny, you know, have an issue with. A lot of people have issues with jealousy, which causes problems. We're not real jealous people like that. So we really don't get in arguments much about stuff like that. But going back to my critiquing myself, that was probably the worst fights that we've had with wrestling, or just having different ideas about how things should go inside of wrestling.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I mean, the most challenging part for me is there's never a break in there, because sometimes I do like to take myself away from the business and fall back into my personal life. I mean, we're so involved all the time that sometimes we forget that we have personal lives, and there's things that we can do there. So, you know, example of, we can be out somewhere. I love going fishing, and you know, we can be out somewhere on the lake or whatever, and enjoying, you know, casting out a few times, and then here comes the wrestling questions, and I'm like, hey, can we please just for one day get through this without talking about what happened at that show, or what can we do here? I was like, it's challenging sometimes, because I like to take a step back. She's so aggressive as far as what she can do better, how we can make this show better. You know, what I like to progress towards, you know, and sometimes it wears on me, but, you know, in the end, I mean, there's always that love of the business and love for each other. So it all comes together.
Well, that is a very stand up, and I really appreciate that answer. Wanted to ask you guys, the training, everything that you've went through. Who are the ones that have trained you, that got you right on it? I know, Tiffany, you mentioned your husband Johnny, but who all were part of helping you being who you are? And if you don't mind, could you please share how long have you both been in the business?
I was originally started training with a good buddy of mine. He goes by the name of Skull. He actually started teaching me the basics. For whatever reason, we had a little falling out, and the guy who really, his name was Hoyt Wilson. They called him Iceman, and he got arrested. We lost him 2 years back, and he really got inside my head, taught me psychology, ring placement, technique on certain moves, showed me the ropes. I mean, beat me from corner to corner every training session. I mean, that was in it was 2002 is when we started training. I've been wrestling roughly 13 years. But I went to him and I said, "Hey man, I'm ready to do this." And my guys sort of went a different direction on me, and I want you to help me out. And most guys I know pay a lot of dues in the business and have to pay, for training and such. But I don't know what it was about the guy. He seen something in me, and he said, "Sure, kid, I'll open up the building for you." And I mean, he initially became like a father to me. It was something I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. It was, it really meant something to me, because he didn't teach me how to just do this or how to do that. He got inside my head and made me wrap my mind around the business rather than just being in the business.
Well, awesome, Tiffany.
Well, my guy that trained me goes by Rick Justice. He has a reputation for being one of the roughest guys in our area. He trained me, and I guess my brother, Tyler Sutton, that's what we call each other, brother and sister, because we trained together. But he trained me back in 2003. And he started getting the basics and everything. So he really wanted me and Tyler to take on roles during the show. He said, "I can only teach you so much, but I want you ringside. So I want to give you the choice either to be a manager or I want you to be a referee." Well, Tyler went for the role of the referee, so I was like, "Well, I'll go ahead and I'll be a manager." He sent me with Johnny Roxx. That's how we got started. But not too long after, me and Tyler, started doing our parts of the show. Unfortunately, the guy at the show where we trained at, Doug Watkins, and my trainer, Rick Justice, had a falling out. So my trainer left. After that, I went and started training again with my husband. Whenever him and Casey Cage, figured that I was ready to get in the ring, they pushed me out there, made me go for it, and then I started hitting the road with Fantasy. I traveled with Fantasy probably a couple of years. At this time, like I said, I trained for a few years before I really got on the road full time. So from 2004 to 2008, I was mainly just a manager. But in 2008, I started in the ring full time, August of 2008. But where I really give a lot of credit to everyone, and Johnny would too, a couple of guys that really had hands in developing our characters and making us more rounded performers, would be Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony. We really got to know him up in Knoxville, Tennessee. Worked with him for a couple of years, and he really helped with character development, especially like ring promos and things like that. Johnny got to work a lot with Jimmy Golden. Unfortunately, I really didn't get in ring with him, but I did get to beat up the old guy a couple of times ringside because I was the most hated girl in Knoxville at the time. And of course, Ted Allen, Nightmare Ted Allen, Johnny got the honor of him, but he always was there to tell me, what I need to work on. So, I mean, we really had, a lot of people helping us out along the way. So, I mean, our trainers really gave us the basics, but there's so many more people that we can give credit to that's helped us along the way these past, almost 10 years.
This is like a unique dynamic because, like I said, this is the husband wife combination being a part of the show, and I do appreciate you guys being on. My question to you guys: how do you feel when the others like, you know the match, like what's going to happen, each other's background, how y'all going to handle whoever you wrestle, but is it hard for each other to watch each other's match? Or is it easier? Give us a little insight to that. How is it for you guys during a show day?
Sometimes it's real hectic. I hate to say, but a lot of times I end up missing a lot of what she's doing in the ring. Just due to any given circumstances, either I'm going over material with some other with guys in my match, or painting my face is a big thing. I'll be painting my face and her music hits, and I'm like, well, I got to get done, because I'm not too far behind her. But there's circumstances where the venues possibly don't have monitors, and there's things like that. I try to catch everything that she does, that way I can give her some positive or negative feedback. But it's so hectic. But when I do get to see her matches, it's easy. I mean, I know she's going to perform well. It's she's amazing in my opinion. So I have no doubts. I know when she goes out to the ring, she's going to be the performer that we are.
Now, with me watching Johnny, I just got so much envy because he's so much more talented than I am. But watching him, it does make me nervous at times because Johnny is out there. He's, doing a lot more risks than I'm doing. He has, the guys that he can work with have so much more experience than a lot of the girls that I'm working with. So a lot of my matches tend to be more, on the basic side. We don't do a whole lot of big falls or, risky moves. So sometimes when I am watching Johnny, I do get a little bit nervous, or, I know he has, a bad knee. He's had surgery on it twice, and a bad shoulder. He tore his rotator cuff in the ring. So whenever I see him doing some things, I'm sitting back there just shaking my head going, I'm going to kill you when you get back to the locker room for doing that stuff. But it's fun to sit back and watch. I get more opportunities. Females are generally, pushed to the beginning of the card, anywhere from first to third match. So by the time he's actually getting to perform, I'm usually kicked back, already got my regular clothes on, so I can actually enjoy his matches. He don't get as many opportunities as I do.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask a unique question. All right. Well, I'd like to ask the question of, if I've never seen y'all in wrestling, and I like to know about you guys. Give me about a minute description of what the other of what you think your character is. But because we're in, it's a relation, you guys are married, I want the opposites to give me a minute description of what the other is like in the ring. If you think you can do it, I think it'd be cool. I just want to hear what the other thinks, and then we'll switch it back because I want to hear what you think. But from the eyes of somebody else, let's just kind of play this role. Johnny, give me a minute description of Tiffany Rokk's persona, what she's like in the ring.
It's from bell to bell for me. Just watching her, as soon as she comes out of the curtain, it's high energy. The thing that has always drawn me to her is obviously she's attractive, and that's always a plus. But it's just everything, the way she plays with the crowd. She connects with the kids. She connects with the people. It's so professional and clean from the time she walks out to the way she gets up on the ring, does her entrance. It's an all-around great babyface character. I mean, she incorporates stuff that a lot of the other girls that I don't see them doing, the arm drags, drop kicks, the way she sells it. I mean, she makes me believe in what's going on out there. It's all the little details that she does that makes her character successful. Like I said, playing to the crowd, keeping a professional look, you know, not showing too much, but showing enough to keep the guys out there interested, you know. But it's just technique. I mean, she's so smooth with a lot of what she does, and you know, if there's any mistakes or anything like that, I mean, she's good about covering them. I really enjoy the character. I mean, if I was a fan sitting in the crowd, I would really be into this style of character, because it's so baby face. It's all smiles. You know, it's real easy for the crowd to get that, you know, let's go Tiffany, let's go thing going. High energy, man. I mean, it's just amazing. It makes me proud.
Awesome. That's cool. All right, Miss Tiffany, let's go ahead and hear your critique of Johnny Roxx.
Well, what I think of him in the ring, well, what I think, you know, from the time he walks out of the curtain, you're going to hear, you know, that heavy metal hit, and then the guy that walks out of the curtain, you know, is all painted up, got on bright colors. Instantly, the fans notice him whenever he walks out of the ring. So whenever he gets in the ring, you know, they think, oh, he's just going to be doing, you know, all these big, powerful moves because he's a big guy. But that isn't what they're going to find out, because, you know, he doesn't just do power moves. He has, you know, several that he does incorporate in his matches. But he's so fast-paced, and he can do hop line. He can jump off the top rope. And he has the ability to get in there with anyone, whether they've, you know, it's their first match or they're, you know, a very seasoned veteran. He has the capability to make that person look like they've been wrestling as long as he has or more. So for me, you know, seeing that, it's going to be instantly one of your favorite wrestlers at any show that you go to. And that's what drew me to him, is because he is such a phenomenal wrestler all around, from his in-ring skills to his paint and his bright colors of his wrestling. I just think it's an awesome gimmick myself.
What about, all right, so how do y'all think you kind of, you know, if I asked you both to give me a synopsis of who you are in the ring, do you think the other has answered pretty well?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've been married 10 years. Yeah. I think we know each other pretty well.
Hey, look, 10 years plus is 10 years and over, I always give a nod to. It ain't easy, but it's always hard work, and it's much deserved. So congrats on that. Question for you now, the next question, and like I said, I love doing these because I like to find out, you know, type of personas. And, you know, John, you kept on mentioning something over and over with Tiffany about her, you know, the way she works, the way she carries herself, which brings the question, because I like talking women wrestlers, you know, how do you feel like the current division is now, when, you know, you're seeing a lot of the women out there that just, you know, for a better term, they just have to look the way they look. And it's almost like they're valuing the looks versus the wrestling talent. You know, and do you feel like, you know, maybe the big corporations eventually will come back to that point where they actually are looking at wrestling talent? And that's for
I would love to see that. I mean, I would absolutely love to see the ladies in this business get more TV time, because a lot of times they're pushed to the back burner. And as a guy in this business, you know, I'm on the outside looking in, and I've also, you know, I'm married to a lady who's in the business, so I know her frustrations. And it's, you know, a lot of people can overlook, okay, well, we've got a ladies match on the card tonight. They only get, you know, 5 to 6 minutes to work in their spots, and
let's give the crowd a bathroom break.
Yeah, that's what it's looked at. But, you know, I remember not too long ago on Monday Night Raw, I believe it was. I think it might have been one we attended a bit with the Bellas. Actually worked the match between Paige and I forget who Emma. She was. It was Emma. They only got 30 seconds. I mean, come on. These girls put just as much heart and soul blood, sweat, and tears into this business as we do, and I can't fathom why anybody would not give these girls a shot to do what they equally love. I mean, it's beyond me. I mean, there's some talented girls out there, and they just get pushed to the back burner. It's, there's been indications where I've felt that friends of mine have actually given my wife a spot on the show just to keep me happy, and that doesn't sit well with me. I mean, these girls pour their heart and soul into it just like I do, and the state of the division right now, women's wrestling, I've been seeing it on sort of an incline, I would say, because, I mean, you're seeing guys starting to do all-women shows, promoters starting to do more all-women shows, and it's making me happy, but it's overdue, I mean, come on, give them a shot. Let them show everybody what they can do.
I agree. Go ahead there, Tiffany.
Yeah, I mean, with women's wrestling, unfortunately, over the past decade, we've been made jokes of. I mean, people don't want to see women's wrestling. They want to see, people pulling off clothes and bra and panties matches and stuff like that, or, wrestling in mud. I've actually got offered a couple of times, and I laughed at them. I'm like, I'm a wrestler. You want somebody to swap around in the mud, you better go find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But, my son, me and Johnny have a 9-year-old son that eats, sleeps, breathes nothing but wrestling. So we watch a lot of, WWE and NXT on the network. So to me, it makes me very proud to see what they're doing with NXT with the women's division, what, TNA started out to do several years ago with the women's division is make them mean something. Unfortunately, with the main roster, people get to see, total divas.
Yeah.
They don't get to see the women's wrestlers. Even recently, I did an interview. One of the guys in the area had been pumping up, wanting to do a reality show for the women's show that he does. And one thing that they kept asking whenever I was doing this interview is, what about the drama? What about, does people have problems in the back? And, I'm keeping it professional, because I am a true professional. I don't, talk about stuff like that. But, it seems like all they really want is the Total Divas version of it. They want to see people get in the ring and pull each other's hair. That's not what one is at all. We're wrestlers just like the guys, and I would love to see it skyrocket. That's one thing with like Shimmer and Sean and WSU, that has really put women's wrestling on the map, and developing great wrestlers like Sarah Del Rey that is now employed by WWE, to train the women's division. So I'm really happy and very hopeful for the direction that women's wrestling is going as a whole. On the local level, we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. And I've had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of the women wrestlers, and I got to say, I've met a good few that they think of being clean, wholesome. They try to wear some good stuff, but the thing I always tell, and I don't know how y'all feel, but my thing is I really hate when I hear the word diva, because if anything, I see no offense, but guys can be drama too, so it's like. It's not, when I hear diva, I don't like that term for the women. I like women wrestlers. And I don't know about y'all, but I miss those days of, the 90s, because that was the golden era for women. You had Trish, you had Lita, you had Molly Holly, Ivory, Jazz, Jacqueline, and there was more to get from there. So, when we're watching NXT, it's like you're getting teased because you're seeing these women have abilities. But when they get to that main roster, it drives you nuts. So I can imagine how angered that is. Indy circuit, going there, you go to work, and I've noticed, like you were saying, Johnny, about how they're having more lady nights shows and having more women to compete. Have you noticed the difference of commitment from the women and also the commitment from the promoters, not just putting them in, like you said, bra panties matches and, smut matches, but actually giving them, hey, here's 15 minutes. Go out, get that crowd wild up, do your thing. Have you noticed that more often?
I've noticed it with some, but there again, there's a lot of the women's shows that pop up that I think that everybody's just trying to get a quick draw on because, like I said, I think women's wrestling is on a little bit of an incline because you're seeing that more and more. But unfortunately, I do think there's a few promoters that try to get that try to capitalize on, hey, well, this women's show down here, Drew, let's throw one and see what we can do. And I don't think they're really interested in what the girls want at all. I think they're interested in trying to make a buck. That's just what I see, because it's up everywhere. I mean, everywhere. It's crazy. I think there are some promoters that are genuinely interested in giving these girls a shot, but I also think there's a good bit of the promoters that's trying to cash in on we've got ladies in spandex, and I bet any variety of men will pay to see that.
Yep. All right. What about you, Tiffany?
Like he was saying, was a lot of promotions. That's what they're doing. They're just, grabbing a bunch of girls and, putting matches together with just random people that's never wrestled each other before. It doesn't make out to be one thing that really sets our show, Empire's Ladies Night, apart from all of that is that we have, five, including myself, really dedicated women that want to see our promotion succeed. We've been pushed to the back burner in this area and been called very nasty names by other wrestlers that actually wrestle in the same building, other, opposite weekends as what we do. So we really have to, push ourselves. But there's also the girls that are giving us a bad name. I mean, there's the bad men in wrestling. Unfortunately, with, women just being the minority in wrestling, it seems to be, worse with us, but that's because there are less of us. Whereas we're not being as fully trained because what'll happen is, someone will go on the road and then drama hits and then they stop traveling together and then they'll end up getting another girl, teach them how to take the falls, very basic, and hit the road, and then they'll have it falling out. So these girls are going around half trained. Most of the girls have a difficult time putting together a 10 to 15 minute match. So that's a few things that we're really working on to build. We have, access to the ring. We offer training sessions to really make sure that we're putting something on the market that no one else has. And then, of course, making sure that the girls actually show up. We had a really disheartening first show with Empire Ladies Night back in November. We had 5 full matches set. Walked in, we were doing 5 singles matches, and half of the card did not show. So me and my other four girls put on a 2-hour show with just 5 of us total. And like Johnny was saying, guys would pay to see girls in spandex. We had a great show that night. We had 2 bachelor parties there. But they wasn't like yelling obscene things to us. They were actually enjoying the show, so it was a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. That's the good news that, you were able to do that. I mean, look, in indie wrestling, last minute stuff almost always happens. I know with us, we had quite a few folks had nothing but family issues. So we were worried about those people, and, we moved on and we did the show. So I so understand that. Now the questions, I want to ask, I got a buddy of mine. He sent me a question. One of the wrestlers that works with us, he's asking me, what personas do you both y'all prefer to work? The heel? What do you prefer to work more, the heel or the babyface?
I cater to the babyface. It's my gimmick. The kids really flock to the paint and the bright colors, and in all honesty, that's what draws me. That's what keeps me in. I can't express how much you know, it excites me to walk out that curtain and see those kids lined up against the guardrail, waiting to slap hands with me, and they get behind me. And I had so much fun playing the hero for those kids, you know, signing autographs, taking pictures with them. Because that's what it was for me whenever I was a kid. It was, you know, when one of those guys, you know, I used to love WCW. So when I went to shows, I went to the Omni in Atlanta when I was 13, and I actually met Sting there, which is, you know, of course, who I mark for. You know, it's real obvious, but you know, for him to take the time to stand there and give me an autograph, it meant the world to me at that time, because I mean, guy's my hero. You know, that's the guy. I mean, he's a man. And it gives me that same feeling, you know, when I go out and I see these kids. Their faces are lit up with excitement. They're waiting for me to come by and slap my hand. They're bobbing their heads with my music. They explode when I win. I get sympathy when I lose. It's, you know, it's that all-around experience to know that I got a building full of people, you know, behind me and cheering for me, and that's just what I get out of it. I mean, it's mostly the kids, man. I love being the baby face and being their hero.
All right. What about you there, Miss Tiff?
Oh, it's so hard to pick between the two. I love just performing, period. I mean, I make a great baby face, but I'm also a really great heel, too. Recently, in the past several years, I've been doing nothing but baby face work. So recently I've been toying with going back heel, and it feels really great. So, I mean, I'm right in the middle. I love doing both. I don't have a favorite over the other.
By the way, you mentioned the Omni. You mentioned Sting. Man, don't be looking in my closet. That's who I used to like. No. I also was big with the Warrior too. So yeah, face paint, man. That's kind of why I liked. I definitely was excited about having you on the show. So, kids are, yeah, and kids are what it's about. And I agree with my boy Axel. So he just wanted me to ask you that. Now, my question is this, you know, because it's gonna go to both of y'all, but I want kind of, you know, definitely want to hear from you, Johnny. The paint, you know, when you were working and everything, and you found, you know, you just wanted to go with the paint and you went with bright colors, you know, is it to help it ease to be that persona, or is it just more of the tribute to the wrestlers you used to follow and, you know, enjoy? Because I remember the bright colors Sting would wear, and I mean, those were things I remembered as a kid. What say you? What was it about paint that drawed you into, you know, that brought out your persona even more?
Well, like I said before, it was finding the one thing to set me apart from the rest of the boys in the locker room. But, you know, it hid my face a little bit, and it helped me go from, you know, from Johnny to Johnny Rokk. You know, it was like, you know, you hear guys say it all the time. It's like turning on a switch. You know, once I put that paintbrush to face, my energy just skyrockets. It goes to the roof, and you know, just looking at myself, looking at the difference that it makes. I'm not just the guy in trunks or wrestling gear that, you know, laces up his boots and goes out. I mean, it's thought and the depth I put in my character. It just helps me become somebody that otherwise I don't think I could be. I mean, it's the, you know.
You don't perform the same whenever you don't have your makeup on.
Yeah, there's been cases, I mean, it's like a curse for me if I don't wear it. There's been cases where I didn't wear it because, you know, certain circumstances, maybe the building was too hot because, man, you've got to have a fan on you and be in a nice, cool place for that stuff to really set on. Because I use acrylic-based paint. You know, basically the same stuff Sting and Warrior use. So it's sort of like a curse, man. If I don't wear that paint, something bad always happens. But it helps me turn that volume up, and it helps me get out in front of those, you know, however many people sitting out there ready to watch. It really helps me with the energy and becoming me.
I'll tell you what, man. If we ever get you down here or Wine to Georgia, we'd love to have you on our show. I love the face paint, so I could definitely tell you because we run a Christian show. And the guy that asked the question just said he would love to go toe to toe with you or side by side with you. Tiffany,
I'm all for it.
oh, awesome. We'll definitely link up. Don't worry. Now, Tiffany, I want to ask you a question. This is now going to go towards the ring gear. Because I know Johnny said it a lot. We've talked about it with the women's, but when you just found your niche, when you found your, the type, what gear you wanted to wear, did you have intentionally in mind, you wanted to make sure it was clean, you wanted to make sure that, your husband wasn't going to be upset, but also you can bring out your personality too. What was it about your gear?
Oh, well, I wanted to find something comfortable, something that looked, had bright colors on it, something that stood out from everybody else. I don't want to have to be one of those girls, wearing a low-cut top and having to, put tape on myself, to make sure my gear isn't sliding around. I don't want to worry in the ring if, my body parts are hanging out where they're not supposed to be. I want to focus on performing. I don't want to worry about anything else. So recently, within, I would say the last 5 years, really is, whenever I found my gear that I really like. And I'm fortunate enough now, I've made some extra money, so I'm actually getting some really custom gear made, which I'm looking forward to from Main Event, where that makes gear for some of the WWE guys. So I'm really looking forward to getting that in to see how that's going to go. But I've always been one for like one-piece outfits. I've never wore a two-piece, and I don't think I'll ever wear a two-piece. But I just like to wear something comfortable without having to worry about showing something that shouldn't be in the ring.
Yeah, I understand that. This is now, we get into some of these areas where you have the or I like to call 4 stages of the ring. You have the actual ring action when something happens you don't expect. You have your wonderful locker room stories. You have your wonderful, travel getting to the arena stories. And then you have the fan story. So far, the one story I haven't been able to shake from my head was Jessie Bell. She told me how she made a fan so mad that the fan ran someone over because they thought it was Jessie Bell.
Oh,
Now, lucky to God, the person lived. I'm going, how crazy are you? And then, my buddy talked with Mark James, the Brute, talked about how a guy went into the ring, dropped the guy with the Scorpion Death Drop, and the thing was the reason the big guy didn't went with it was because he wore the same mask that Mark was supposed to wear. And Mark shows up in the mask, the guy's on the ground, looks at the guy, and needless to say, kayfabe had to get broken on that one. Because that guy ended up getting broken. But,
Great.
yeah. So, and, with us, we have stories galore where, we have a wonderful fellow who likes to walk around in guys' merchandise or his gear. And they did this thing where they tied up his partner and he had to walk out in boxers. And it's like, Jesus, guys, really? Are y'all that bored? But no, it's just, I've learned in indie wrestling, you can get away with stuff like this. So any crazy fun stuff that's ever happened, to you guys, on the way to the ring or just, let's first talk about the ring. Anything ever happened in a match for both of y'all or either or, for you?
There's been several things that happened in the ring. So we're pulling ribs on each other. I was in a tag match one night, and I had a guy I was working a headlock, and my tag team partner actually took one of an extra boot lace that he had and tied the guy's feet together around the bottom rope. And like I said, it's more of a rib on the boys, on one of the boys, So I'm calling the spot to him, and blah blah blah. Get up, turn around, give me a couple of clotheslines or whatever. So I started jawing at the crowd, and I start coming up, and he can't get loose. And the guy's green, and he's a greenhorn, and so he's laying on the ground kicking his feet, and I come over and snatch him back in the headlock. I bad kid, what are you doing? You make us look stupid. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I get back up, play back to the crowd, and he's freaking out, because he's obviously tied he's tied to the ropes.
Oh,
And
Lord.
it was so funny because we got to the back and he was like, well, what was I supposed to do? And I was like, well, that was the thing, man. There's nothing you could do. You're tied to the ropes. And we've done that. And we've done a real funny deal one time where a guy, we had used the old fireball trick to the face. And instead of bringing a towel and a bottle of water out for him, we brought out a gallon of water and just kept dousing the guy. And I mean, we poured an entire gallon of water over the guy's face, and he's sitting here cussing at us like good grief, how much water does it take? I mean, we're just a little bit. We're like, no, we need more. You need more. You need more.
It's all over you, man.
I mean, yeah, dude, there was a huge puddle in the ring, and this guy's sitting here laughing at us. We're laughing. Everybody's trying to keep in character. So, I mean, God, I've got so many more, man. I could keep you here all night telling you funny stories about stuff that happened in the ring.
What about you, Tiff? Anything ever happened that just made you crack up with the women, and or it could be over? Well, we'll go into the fans later.
Yeah, I really don't have many funny stories that I could think of right off the top of my head. One that really shocked me one time, going back to me being one of the most hated women in Knoxville for a few years, we had some real dedicated fans that was at the show every single week. And at the time, I was Johnny Rock's manager, Roxx. So Tony Anthony, who was calling shots there, made sure that, Johnny didn't win a match unless he had my help. And they hated me.
That was awesome.
So we were set up for TV. So two sides of the ring didn't have anyone on it at all. So we could push all of the fans over to two sides of the ring to make the crowd look bigger for television. And I told Tony, I said, I don't want to go on the side where the fans are. I said, they're going to push the guardrail up and get me. He's like, well, I really need you to go around to the other side of the ring for this one spot. I need you to feed Johnny a chain so he can hit Jimmy with it. I was like, okay, I'll do what you're asking me to do. So the spot comes up, I run around to the side of the ring, and I go to hop up on the ring. And I've always had real long hair, so my hair is about down to my butt at the time, and I feel something just brush my hair. And I don't think about it too much, but whenever I got up on the ring side, I turned around, and just so happened I barely missed this 80-year-old woman swinging a chair at me.
Oh, my God.
She hit my hair. So I was real lucky I didn't get taken out by Granny that night. But, I mean, these people hated me so bad
They
that
did.
whenever the crowd would get quiet, it didn't matter whose match it was.
Oh.
If they got quiet at all whatsoever, the promoter of the show would just take me and push me out of the curtain, and the crowd would see me, and they would just hit the fan, and they just pull me back in the locker room.
I've
never seen that before.
The guy wasn't getting any heat. They stuck Tiffany out there, and then he thought he was getting heat, but then he looked over, and there's my wife standing out of the curtain. It's so funny.
All right. See, the woman, the 80-year-old woman, let's just go ahead and go to the fan section, because there was a time we were invited to a show. We sat there, and you don't take wrestlers and guys that work in wrestling to a show because we don't care. They had this guy. He's the beloved fan favorite. They loved him, and we booed him unmercifully. We were booing him. We were giving him the business. And I swear there was this woman, this old lady, maybe she's a sister, because she grabbed that chair and she kept pointing at me and my buddy, Brian Titus, and she was going to hit us with the chair. I really believed it. And I told him, I said, dude, you take the shot, I'll run. Because I get the car. You the big wrestler. You know all the moves. So I know how funny that feels. So let's go ahead and ask the question. And fans, any funny, ridiculous fan story for y'all? And now my Georgia comes out.
Oh goodness, I'd have to think about that for a second. It's hard to think whenever you're on the spot. Johnny, do you have any funny fan stories?
I mean, yeah, I've got funny stories from me being a fan, to fans of mine who have done funny things. But
what's one that sticks out to your? What sticks out the most for you? I mean, hers is obviously Granny trying to kill her with the chair.
Oh goodness, we was in Benton, Tennessee one night for a show called Global Wrestling Ministries. It's actually my buddy Casey Cage owns it. It's a Christian-based show. What we do there is usually start at about 7 o'clock. We'll have the preacher come in and do his thing, have altar call, and then we'll have the show. Well, that show in particular used to be called CWF in that area, and those people loved me for whatever reason. I took a beat down one night, and it was from Justin Case, Paul Lee, and Justin Case's manager, Jay West. And man, we were getting such a great reaction from the crowd. They were giving them so much heat, and I just kept milking it. And I was like, get a chair, hit me with that, hit me with your finish again. Well, little did I know that I provoked this, and had this going on so long that they actually had to call the Benton Police Department to come down and escort the crowd home after the main event, because there was almost a full-out scale riot because Johnny Rokk was getting his butt kicked so bad. And what made it horrible, though, was none of the other baby faces come out and save me.
Oh, God.
So here, I've got to get up after taking chair shots. And I took 3 or 4 finishes. I took a finish on the chair. And I just kept getting up and calling for him to come back. And they constantly, but that crowd coming glued. And they had to call the Benton Police Department to come settle this because the crowd was getting so out of hand. They was about to take after these 3 guys. And
yeah, I've seen
and
Paul.
Here I do. I got to get up and try and walk to the back because none of my buddies back there had to
Oh my God! And your buddies are
I had
probably.
to get up, man. I had to get up and walk to the back after all this, and I was like, well, we don't go ahead and put my Superman cape on for the next show. There's really no point in it. I think I just pulled a full-scale John Cena on everybody.
I gotta tell you, you definitely gonna need to. We need to talk after the show because DCWM, we could do that with you. The crowd, and I'll make sure I get someone out there to help you. Golly, that is always so funny because you see all these people getting mad. Real quick, one of the questions I always like to ask, and because of you guys mentioned the network you watch, if money was no object and you could go to any promotion, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Japan, Shimmer, Shine, wherever, where would you guys like to go?
I'm digging NXT, man, to be honest with you. I mean, it might sound cliche for a lot of guys right now, but, man, they've got some magic happening on that show, and you can tell it. I read a report during WrestleMania weekend of how Vince actually attended his first NXT taping or live event, and the crowd was chanting better than Raw and better than WrestleMania. They said it got up underneath his skin pretty good, but man, they've got some magic happening in that place. I would love to get in there and wrestle somebody like Tyler Breeze or Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, all those guys. I mean, man, they've got some talent on that show. Some of the best that I've seen since I started watching wrestling. I mean, it's just amazing what they're doing in that, on that show. And that'd be one place that if I could spend a month on the road with anybody or any program, it would be that brand.
I'm down with that. What about you, Tiffany?
I would have to say the same because, the talent's definitely there, but, just that crowd to be able to work in front of somebody that's, that lively, that, isn't just chanting random things. Like whenever you watch Monday Night Raw, they'll chant anything random. Doesn't have to pertain to the match or anything. But the NXT crowd is, definitely connecting with the wrestlers, which makes it exciting to watch. that's definitely where I would go. And, you know, I'm bummed that I turned down my Tough Enough offer back in 2010. You know, maybe I could have had a little bit of taste of that at one point.
Well, let's go ahead and ask now. You know, because now, you know, NXT's going on. You got the Tough Enough. People putting their submissions in. My question is this. I'm going to go ahead and assume for one guy, because you mentioned his name, how do you think Finn Balor or the transition for Finn Balor's been? I mean, he's got the makeup. He's got a look. You know, do you love a guy doing that? Because does that kind of bring back the old school of wrestlers who used to wear a paint? For you, Johnny.
It's a gimmick. I mean, that's what wrestling to me is missing is gimmicks. I mean, you know, and it's little subtle things like Tyler Breeze's gimmick. You know, we went through a period there in the '90s where you had The Rock. You know, yes, he's got a gimmick. He talks in third person and all that good stuff. But you got Stone Cold, Triple H. They had attitude, which, you know, it was the Attitude Era. But I love what they're doing with him. You know, and I love that they save the paint for bigger shows. It's not an everyday thing, so it shows that transition, that seriousness of the match that he's going into. If he's trying to channel that darker Finn Balor character, I mean, for me, it's great. I love seeing somebody come out playing a gimmick like that, from the smoke, the lights, the music, the way he crawls down the ramp and plays to the crowd. It takes me back to when there were gimmicks, when there were characters in wrestling that got you a little more excited about what was going on, you know?
Oh yeah. What yeah, I've been enjoying this interview, by the way. Both y'all have been great. I appreciate the time and everything, because I'm almost feeling like this is a conversation. We're just sitting in the living room just talking wrestling. But you know, for you, Tiffany, who is like the women out of the women wrestlers? I don't like calling them divas and knockouts, but in the main promotions or in NXT, who do you like? Who do you enjoy watching?
Oh, I mean, I definitely have to say one of my favorites right now is Charlotte. I was scheduled to wrestle her before she got signed on to WWE. I mean, back then she had very little, if any, wrestling experience. She was, I believe, a volleyball player before she got signed on to WWE. So just seeing her transition and grow to be one of probably the best women in the air, you know, in the NXT right now. I mean, that's just amazing. One person who really got me interested after I started, you know, going into trainings and things like that, and started watching wrestling full time was Trish Stratus. You know, Trish Stratus, you know, went from being eye candy to being horrible in the ring, to being the best, you know, women's champion that they've ever had. So I really look up to women like that, you know, came from nothing and made it all the way through. That really had that progression that you got to watch and live with them.
All right, we're winding down to the end of the show, and I want to ask, like, basically the super question, not a stupid question, it's a super question though. But the question is this: normally I ask, in 5 years, where do you see yourselves? But now I'm going to ask it in a different way. 5 years, what do you want to see indie wrestling? Where do you want to see it go? Where do you want to see the passion, the fans? You know, because I always look at indie wrestling being like your high school scenario where you're seeing the young talent emerge. What about you guys? Where in 5 years would you like to see the indie wrestling?
I want to see the drama stop. I want to see, you know, everybody working together to build their products. One major thing that's hit me lately is a lot of controversy. You know, be proud of your organization. Be proud of, you know, who you are, what you've accomplished. But I want to see everybody grow as a whole. I mean, that's one thing that wrestling is. I mean, it's not one of those sports that you go in, you know, and it's just you in the ring, that you're going out, you know, it's not a boxing match. You know, I got to go out there and beat this person, so I'm the winner. Wrestling, you know, isn't that. it's a performance for both people. You have to work together to make it work. So what I want to see with indie wrestling is people pull together, stop the bashing, stop the hate. We're all in this together, whether you're on, the lowest level or you're, at the highest chain of command in WWE. I mean, we need to work together or we're not going to have this business that we love anymore. I mean, you already see that going on with WWE. People sign up, to be a wrestler. We know that there's injuries. We know that we're not going to be in the same shape that we are when we begin. Injuries happen. But now, these people are suing WWE and we're seeing things getting taken away from us, little by little. And eventually we're not going to have wrestling to love anymore. And that's what I want to see change.
What about you, Johnny?
I'd have to agree. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Shows having a lot of heat with other shows, and to be honest with you, I know that social media has been a big thing with promoting, over the past, several years. But the biggest thing I want to see change is I want to see the drama stop. I mean, you can have an issue with somebody, get it worked out. Don't go on Facebook and blast each other, because number one, all of our fans keep up with that way we're promoting. Hey, we're going to be there next week. I mean, how does that make us look? To go on there and bicker and complain and gripe back and forth at each other when it's non-wrestling related, taking personal shots at each other. And I mean, from a fan standpoint, what would you think? I mean, like, God, how unprofessional is this? Why would I want to go to a show and see these guys do this? That's just, it's a big thing for me to see that on a daily basis. And I would love for the guys to come together and quit thinking about themselves and think about the business as a whole. What can I do to help the show? What can I do to help, to help put more butts in these seats, to help grow this product, because there was a time where I wanted to progress for me, but I'm 34 years old. I've had 2 knee surgeries. I've blown out my shoulder. I'm not 24 no more. And I've got to stop thinking about pushing for just me. I have to think about pushing for everybody. How can I help this guy get over? How can I leave, this situation bigger for the next guy? That's what I would really love to see is more guys feel together, be a family, leave something for the guys behind us. That's where it's headed, and we can't do this forever. I mean, realistically, like I said, I'm 34. I've got maybe another 10 years that I would want to dedicate to this business as far as entering competition. I don't want to go past what I should. I have no interest in that, and I would like to stay behind the scenes and do stuff to help grow younger talent and leadership of indie wrestlers in any way that I can to that to that top tier. That's what I would love to see. Is guys stop the bickering and the arguing and think about how we can help get each other over and help our business bounce back from, in my opinion, has been bad over the past few years.
Oh, wow. I'm not, look, I truly appreciate you guys. We have the company that also works with me, Disciples of Christ Ministries. We actually had a lot of issues ourselves. And the old saying I've always said is, if you're doing something right, people are always going to hate. And that's what we've had to deal with. And our leadership was getting attacked. Even our wrestlers, and even one of our guys who started working with us just last month, person that he cared a lot about passed away. And the thing is, we're a family, like you said, and it really struck me because that's what we care about. We care about, would it be great if we packed out every place we went and everyone loved everything we did? Great. But if not, well, then I want to at least make the impact with the guys that are in the locker room, the guys that are traveling from North Carolina,
Right.
South Carolina to come wrestle for us. It's just one of those. So what you said is perfect. That's why I wanted to ask, instead of, because, we always go, well, 5 years from now, I want to be this. Well, maybe we need to stop looking at ourselves and start looking at why we're in this. Why do we love indie wrestling? Why do we get up in the morning, go up, set the ring up, bust our butts in the ring, get stuff set up, doing commentary, making sure every match is made, making sure the seats are arranged right. Why do we do all that? And sometimes we forget about it. What's the why? And I just want you to know I appreciate both of y'all. And, I'm definitely going to be talking to you guys a lot more because I think you guys have a bigger story deep down than just what we're hearing now, because it's really touched me just hearing about the passion that, because you said social media, great tool. It is to get a whole – I've never thought I would meet wrestlers all over the place to do a show. And then now I'm doing a show with everybody as much as I can, and I want to get your story out. And we don't get that when you're in a match, because you come out, think about it, maybe 5 minutes if you're on the mic, and then you wrestle. And then that's it. So you have just a little bit of time to tell your story, to translate it, and get the fans hooked, and then want them to come back for more.
Definitely.
And it's like, that's what I want my show to be about, was to give you guys a voice. So thank you so much for being a part of it, because this is what I want. And I love the fact that you're both married. I love the fact that, you guys love each other and you support each other through hard and, just thick times, and when the drama gets thick, it's ridiculous. But, if you band together and you stick together, drama's going to fade away. The strong stands tall. And trust me, we all have scars from drama. But I just want to thank you guys. Johnny, Tiffany, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and we got to get together, do this again. Anytime you guys want to, promote a match or something, May 9th, you guys are going to be rocking it out over at the, what's called, M8 in Roxx. Yeah, go ahead.
It's Empire Ladies Night, May 9th. Best women's show in this area, period. I have no doubt. We've got the best group of 4 girls that anybody could ask for. Got some big matches lined up. Myself and Tiffany were supposed to take on the Dream Team, but unfortunately that's not going to happen. We'll have to find out what's going to happen that night. I invite everybody out who's listening in our area or from surrounding areas to come on out and be a part of it. It's going to be a great card. It's going to be a great show.
Well, we're definitely going to have to get together also. We're in Winder, Georgia, over near Athens. So we'll have to find out how far you guys are from us. So may have to come out down with All Wrestle Talk, check y'all's show out too. So I would, if you'd love to, I don't mind. I love doing commentary and I love meeting people. So, it kind of makes it a match for us. So Tiffany, good luck.
Thank you.
Kick some tail. Johnny, don't go diving into the fans and letting an old woman hit your wife again.
That'd be all right. I'll be in the back. I'll be in the back controlling that portion of it on this one.
Well, look, you guys have a great night. We definitely want to talk more after the show, but you guys take care. Want to thank DCWM. We had a great show this past Saturday night. You heard Brian Titus speak from the heart. Check that message out. It's going to be on All Wrestle Talk. I'll be posting that on there. Also, you want to check out what we're planning on doing is coming up in June 6th. Haven't got the name up yet, but we will be having a show. June 6th is the next show. Looking to be booked elsewhere. If you would like All Wrestling Talk, do commentary, or just want us to be around to watch the shows, meet the wrestlers, kind of, do some pictures, we won't mind. Just give me a call. And also check out tweet me at AWTCD2. And then check me on Facebook, All Wrestling Talk Nation. I'm C Double. Guys, see you tomorrow night. And also, please say a prayer for our friend Jason, the fallen Freebird Hayes. Miss Donna Doss Cook passed away. I'd like to dedicate this week's shows to her. Wonderful woman. We're going to miss you. And Jason, we're praying for you, bro. Funeral arrangements is coming up Friday, so we'll find out more. But say a prayer for him and the family. And God bless everybody. I'm C-Double. I'm out.